Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. Today in this video, we are going to learn about why sampling, survey errors, standard errors. Before we jump in, if you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button to join our community. And note that, please get the PDF version from the link that I have included in the description section. Alright, let's get started. In statistical investigation, we have two types of surveys. One, census survey. The second one is sample survey. Where census survey is nothing but the complete enumeration. Complete enumeration meaning that considering all possible units under the population under study. All units will be considered for an investigation. Whereas sample survey is nothing but systematic collection of data based on representative sample, right? As the name indicates, sample is nothing but investigating some representative sample, and based on this sample we conclude something over the population from which the sample was drawn. So as the question here is, what's the advantage of dealing with sampling? What's the reason for sampling? This is nothing but in sampling there is reduced cost. With sampling, greater scope is there. With sampling, higher accuracy is there. And with sampling, it is faster. And sometimes sampling is the only option to do so. So feasibility issue is also rising here. What does it mean? When we say reduced cost is there with sampling, here we are comparing two surveys, census survey and sample survey. Where sample survey considers sampling, whereas census survey considers all units in the population under study. Considering sampling tends to have reduced cost. This cost can be measured in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of labor. Census is nothing but costly, in other words, and time consuming and even labor intensive for data collection. To the opposite of this one, if we consider sampling, we take the advantage of this reduced cost. But the second reason why we consider sampling is sampling allows a greater scope, meaning we can explore topics in greater depths or we can cover larger areas. The other reason to consider sampling is being higher accuracy, because smaller scales allow for better training of data collectors. Here, we sample survey, the enumerators are smaller in number, so we can make them more qualified, more trained, more skilled. As a result, the overall data collection will be qualified. At the end of the day, we come up with quality data, right? Quality data can be obtained from sample survey rather than census survey. The other thing, sample survey or sampling is faster relative to census. Data can be collected, processed, and analyzed more quickly. This is crucial for time-sensitive decisions such as crop forecasts or outbreak risks or emergency issues. The other issue is feasibility issue. Here sampling may be the only option for infinite populations or destructive testing. We do have two things here. We don't have any option rather than considering sample survey for the population which is infinite. The other way is, if the condition is destructive, we only proceed our investigation through sample survey only, such as in industries, medicines, right? For example, testing the lifespan of light bulbs calls for sample survey. For example, if you are interested to test the quality of the products of a given industry or firm, here we force it to have only samples. We will not consider all products to our laboratory. Rather, we consider sample, then we generalize to the whole process or to the whole product, because those products have passed through the same process, right? So if we take sample, then the result of that sample can be mapped successfully. So testing all the products of a given industry is not feasible. So here we consider sample survey instead of census. Here's the second topic, which is survey errors. So every survey has errors. What the key concept here is understanding and minimizing them. We are going to break down the total survey errors into two major types. These are nothing but sampling error and non-sampling error. When we consider these two at a time, these are nothing but total survey error. Total survey error is nothing but sampling error plus non-sampling error, right? So what does it mean when we say sampling error? Sampling error is nothing but error which is created due to being considered sample instead of the whole population. This error is random variation, can be quantified, and generally decreases as n increases. Whereas non-sampling errors arise from data collection processing problems. Example, non-response error, measurement error, coverage error, processing error, and so on. These are difficult to quantify, right? But can be minimized through careful design. But sampling error can be measured by the standard error and can be estimated using probability sampling error. What is standard error? Standard error measures how much your sample estimate may vary from sample to sample, right? This is collectively known as sampling error measurement. If the variable under study is quantitative, it is obvious that we aggregate its summary using mean. If our data is categorical or qualitative, such as yes, no, right, agree, disagree, support, oppose, for such we compute a summary which is proportion. So here we will see the standard error for mean and the standard error for proportion. But what the central message through this standard error is, the standard error measures how much your sample estimate might vary from sample to sample. So such standard error, for example, for mean, which is for example x bar, where x bar is the sample mean xi over n, which is the realized sample mean. So what the standard error of this sample mean is? This is nothing but sigma divided by root n. This is when sigma is known, right? Otherwise we use sample data, therefore we estimate this sigma using this sample information, sample variance, right? So this both quantifies the standard error. For the mean, many survey questions yield binary or categorical outcomes such as yes, no, support, oppose, and so on. In such cases, the standard error of the sample proportion p hat is given by this formula. So the standard error here for the proportion or for the sample proportion is quantified through this formula. This is nothing but which depends only p hat and n. This is computed from the sample, which is a divided by l, where a is the number of favorable elements in class C, right? If we have two classes, the one class is C, the other class is C prime. So the number of elements in C are nothing but A. The number of elements in C prime, A prime. So the proportion of units in class C can be computed by A over N. This formula is widely used because survey results are often reported as percentages or proportions, right? As with mean, the standard error decreases with larger n. and confidence intervals can be constructed similarly. Let us see one example of computing standard error. Example, a sample of 100 students has a mean test score of 75 with a standard deviation of 10. So what's the standard error of this one? This is nothing but the standard deviation is 10, then divided by the square root of n, when n is 100. So 10 by 10, which is 1. What does it mean? The sample mean of 75 has a standard error of 1, meaning that if we take many samples, the sample means will typically vary by about 1 point from the true population mean. Average deviation of each sample from the possible samples from the true population mean. We know that constructing confidence interval is one use of standard error. So here we can construct the 95 confidence interval for the true population is nothing but the sample estimate plus or minus the margin of error, where margin of error is nothing but the sampling distribution value a certain level of significance times the standard error. Here we are assuming our sample mean follows approximately normal distribution. If so, at 5 level of significance, the z value will be 1.96, and this one is computed from this formula. Therefore, at the end of the day, we come up with this result. We are 95 confident the true population mean falls between this value and this value. In survey reporting, the standard error is commonly used to construct confidence intervals. For example, an approximate 95 confidence interval is given by this formula, where this one is the sample mean or the sample proportion, plus or minus the 1.96 for alpha 5%, and the sampling distribution of this estimate follows approximately normal distribution, and times the standard error. So this allows researchers to communicate the uncertainty around survey findings clearly and transparently. We know that errors in survey cannot be avoided 100%, but we can minimize them. So in what follows, we will see how to minimize survey errors. Best practices to do so. To produce high quality survey results, researchers should systematically address both sampling and non-sampling errors. How can we reduce sampling error? We do have 3 possible ways to do so. The first one is increasing the sample size. The general way of reducing sampling error is nothing but increasing sample size if cost allows. For example, doubling the sample size reduces the standard error by approximately 30%. This is from the fact that standard error of sample mean, for example, is given by sigma root L. This is nothing but from this formula we can understand that standard error is inversely related with the sample. As N increases, this standard error decreases, right? The second way of reducing sample survey is nothing but by reducing the underlying variability. This variance should be minimum as far as possible, right, to decrease the standard error of the estimate. For example, instead of making use of simple random sample, it would be better to use stratification, right, or another sampling method that allows more homogeneity among the sampling units, right? Through this stratification, for example, the somewhat heterogeneous units can be changed into homogeneous units. We know that homogeneous units yield small variability than heterogeneous units. The other way is employing efficient sampling designs, to which we make use of appropriate weighting adjustments, right? So these are the 3 ways of reducing sampling error. And we can reduce non-sampling errors through constructing a high quality sampling frame to minimize coverage error. Coverage error is one possible way of introducing non-sampling error, right? So we can minimize that coverage error through making high quality sampling frame. The other way is maximize response rates. We maximize response rates using multiple contact attempts, right? By providing incentives and mixed mode strategies while monitoring non-response biases, right? The other way is making pre-test questionnaires thoroughly, such as cognitive interviews, pilot studies. This reduces measurement error. The other way is providing comprehensive training and standardization for interviewers. The other way is implementing strict data processing protocols with validation checks and careful editing.